Steve, you're back from vacation. You're not very tan, though. Usually you're a little more...
I was responsible.
Oh, proud of you this time.
Responsible. Nothing got burnt. Nobody got hurt. So, not that anybody gets hurt, but nobody got burnt. So
okay.
I was responsible.
There's been some times where you've matched your...
because I'm not the responsible person.
Just saying.
I'm aging wisely.
Okay. All right. Proud of you on that. Glad you're back. Glad the podcast is back. The podcast is called Stuff Summer Says with...
Steve.
Yeah, Steve. Steve was on vacation last week, which was perfect because a lot of stuff happened that we now have a podcast worth to talk about. It
always happens when I go away.
So we're going to talk about the talent fee because we should probably talk about that. We got some stadium stuff. Taylor Swift is playing on my Alexa for no reason. I have no clue how that or why that is happening. And
she's going to come to the stadium.
If maybe that's what this is a sign for. And then I want to talk a little hockey too. And you have Olgayenka. Okay.
Cool.
Okay.
Yep.
You won most of the Super Bowl stuff. Just a real quick. You won this year. I'm proud of you.
Blind squirrel every once in a while.
You know. Let's briefly touch on the Super Bowl. I think we need to talk about one thing, and that's the score bug because that's what we always talk about.
Yeah.
Do you think a third grader designed it, or do you think that like they put multi-million dollars of research into it so that it looks big enough on the phone?
Yes, I think it's the second. There's no way they did it in a simple, cost-effective way. And it grew on me later in the game because they did some stuff with it, right? Like they actually gave you meaningful stuff at different times for the teams on the side. I mean, it's still ugly as sin, but it's utilitarian enough that it's probably going to work, and it's not like they're going away from it.
That's a good word for it, utilitarian. Yeah,
it's not special. It's just it works.
The thing that I can't unsee about it is it's in the Fox font, which is the same font that like I equate with like the 90s, early 2000s Simpsons. So it looks like it's like I'm watching The Simpsons is kind of my takeaway on it. Yeah, I don't know. I thought the broadcast itself was fine. Tom Brady kind of rambled and went on. No, I just wanted to get your opinion on that real quickly before.
Yeah, like it was. Yeah, when you first saw it, you're like, "Oh my good Lord, God, this for the Super Bowl, right?" Because that's when they track stuff out.
It didn't meet the moment.
No, but I think in general, game to game, it's going to work because they're going to be able to do some stuff with it, which they seem to be committed to doing in terms of giving information beside the teams and whatever else. So we'll see.
There was an interesting awful announcing article about the score bug, and I thought this was interesting. This is now like probably 5 or 6 Super Bowls in a row where the network that's has the Super Bowl is debuting a new score bug for that game and not necessarily like using the one that you've used all season. And I actually thought it was a good point that like it would be nice to have some continuity. I would much rather that at the start of the season. And why give me an entirely new graphics package at the end of the season when I've trying to develop some familiarity? Not that really matters because you're going to watch the Super Bowl, whatever channel it's on, things like that.
No, I think that's a fair point. I mean, it's not like you don't turn over your roster till the next season starts, right? In terms of the players and whatever else. So I think that's a valid point. You just don't have the audience to play show and tell with, and you're not going to get the media reaction the first week of the season you will of the Super Bowl. Right? Everybody's going to see it. Everybody's going to do what we did and what the people do that awful announcing and whatever place. Oh my God, the score bug. If it's the first game of the regular season, there's so much other stuff going on that you might get lost.
Right.
I mean, you wouldn't get lost, but the attention for it would get lost.
No, I agree with that. I agree. Okay. Sorry. I wanted to put a bow on the Super Bowl briefly there before we move on. All right. Let's talk about the second most interesting Penn State sports fandom happening, I think would be the best way to say what's happened in the last 2 weeks. Number one being the second topic that we'll get to. So we're going to, let's start with the talent fee, but don't call it that because that's not what we're allowed to call it. It's definitely not that. No, this is not a talent fee. Player talent fee. The purpose of the Legacy Fund is to provide resources for student athlete scholarships and a commitment to ensuring Penn State's 23 athletic facilities remain some of the best venues in the nation. The whole reason why Penn State had to do this Legacy Fund as we are supposed to call it, is because they have to pay players because they deserve money for their talents. And I don't know. I have zero issue with the economics to this. I've already seen it in my bill for season tickets this year. I have zero issues with the $20 per ticket, and then a $45 fee for a season parking pass.
Okay.
So
Okay.
that shakes out to what, $5 a game, and a little less than, or a little more than $5 a game, and then like I said, less than 1% raise on ticket prices, basically. I think I just have an issue with beating around the bush and not being direct, and for whatever reason being clever with the PR about it, more so than anything else. Because I think as the population gets older, that might particularly doesn't necessarily agree with the whole paying athletes and things like that. My generation, younger generations, are more welcoming, more excited about that, more open about that. Call it what it is, and maybe they're doing it for legal purposes so they don't get sued or something like that. But it's just that irked me more than anything else. In that situation, zero issue with the fee, 100% issue with how they PR it, I guess would be the best way to say that.
Yeah, and I think the concern about any legal action, I mean, maybe not concern. I think they just don't want to be that overt yet, right? Like you're not an SEC school. You don't want to say this is what you're doing. And yes, plausible deniability. You're going to support the facilities with some of this money. You're going to do whatever. I mean, realistically, you could call it whatever you wanted, right? You could call it legacy fund, excellence fund, whatever else, and you can put the money wherever you get it once you get it in unless they earmark it like they used to do for some stuff, and probably still do in a lot of cases. So yeah, I think you're right. I think it's the appetite. I think it's the perceived appetite of the consumer toward the messaging.
Yeah, I think that's a good way to put it. I think the other thing that I have a mild gripe with it is it in the press release. They're like, we're not raising season ticket prices, but I can't opt out of this to pay season tickets or buy tickets. I don't know. It's silly to start doing all these little different earmarks so that we can feel better about not raising season ticket prices, even though at the end of the day, my bill is going up by $105 when we've got 3 tickets and a parking pass on it. No issue with the fact that they didn't raise prices this year. And I think it would have been ridiculous if they would have raised prices this year, just with all the renovations and everything going on, and how probably, I think it's like 7,900 seats are going to be brought in. So 7,900 season ticket holders are going to be kind of screwed and over or displaced or moved around this season. Like it would not have been a good look to raise prices from that. But it's, again, I don't know. I don't know why we need to be coy about everything. I think anybody that is at minimum in terms of a knowledge level that is a season ticket holder knows what's going on in the NCAA space, in the college athletic space of all of these other issues. And that was where my gripes with it were. But again, I think it's also at the same time a very reasonable increase or a very reasonable ask that I have no issue with. I just wonder how many times can we go put a new legacy fund, a super legacy fund type thing further down the road? You only get so many shots at that.
Yeah, it's like the academic side of the house, right? With technology fees or organizational fees. But just make it a number. Don't make it look like you're nickel and dime people. Here's the number, right? And you get all this as part of what you paid for, as opposed to, oh, well, there's this add-on and this add-on, because that's the stuff that people don't, especially when you can't opt out. I mean, again, I think you're right. Most people don't care. Nobody's probably complaining for the most part, but it's not like it's an optional fee. So but it allows you to say you didn't raise ticket prices, right? It allows you to see it as something separate. It also allows somebody to start doing some math, right? Oh, if you have this many season ticket holders in this, you've raised this much money by it. So you got to be comfortable with somebody doing that math for you and maybe being wrong about it, if they do. but nobody really will either, right?
Are we? Are we're the ones that would do the math?
I was gonna say there's 5 people, right? And we're 2 of them, right? So yeah.
No, and I think that's all fair. I had another thought there, but I forgot what it was. No, I think it's like I said. I think I wonder if they. I know what the thought was. I wonder if they positioned it this way or felt the need to position it this way because a year ago, a lot of people, myself included, were upset about everybody's donation fee going up $100, which was I think was reasonable because if you have, there's a family of 8 that sits next to us, that's $800 more that your tickets cost per season. Not that not that they can afford that, because they certainly paid it this year, but like. That's still $800. That's not a small amount. Yeah, I think as we progress more, I just don't have time for the silliness of all of this.
And I think people will start doing, hey, it's this much more. Hey, it's you're nickel and diming me, and just make it worth. There's going to be a value proposition at some point where people have to feel like they're getting more than just the games, or the games are worth that much. And I think anytime you're adding something on as opposed to just rolling it in, it allows people to pick at that a little bit.
Yeah. Okay. No other major thoughts there. So that was news point 1. News point 2 is finally we have some renderings of Beaver Stadium of what the West Side expansion is going to look like from the inside of the stadium. I'm guessing now that the ones that we've been seeing of the outside of the stadium are basically confirmed at this point, particularly because they basically developed a logo around it and all of these other little things. I don't know that I necessarily have a thought on the outside. I'm glad that they didn't go with the Sandy Barber brick house look. That would be my biggest plus side. The inside, I think, from what I've seen, it was pretty much about what I expected. I thought there was going to be 3 decks or 3 tiers to it, and there's 4. I thought the interesting most notable thing was the 75. I think it's 75% of the seats will be for the average Joe. Now I wonder how that looks and shakes out because most of those seats aren't going to have chair backs, which I think that was probably one thing that a lot of fans had wanted and pined for. And now that they're not getting, I'm a little surprised by that, but I also think that that's probably has to relate to the fact that capacity is staying the same. And I think the biggest takeaway there is the thing I was thinking about that like 107K Strong has become a brand for Penn State or a brand feature for Penn State, not necessarily a brand per se. And I don't know that they would want to take that away. And I think that's part of, aside from the home field advantage thing, an interesting aspect to the renderings and some of the information that we got. But I don't know.
You're not sure it's not going to be 102K Strong as a result of this, right? They said over 100. Nobody's guaranteed you 107 still.
But think about they squeeze an extra 30,000. Yeah, no, not 30. 3,000 in there to get to 110 for the Ohio State game. So they're going to get there. Mathematically, they're going to figure out a way to get there. I think is what's going to happen.
I think the non-seat backs from other places just prevents you from having to do renovations at those other places, and it makes it 25% more attractive for somebody who's like, okay, do I want to be on the east side and whatever else, or do I want to step up on the west side and be able to pay for a seat back and feel more like a club or whatever else kind of thing. So I think you got to have that mix of inventory for people, different price points for people to jump in and whatever else. So. And that allows them too, when you do the math on the average ticket price for the 100,000 seats or plus whatever the number is when you're done, the 75% of like non-seat backs pull that number down a little bit and allow you to say the average seat, the average season ticket holder price is this, because the club seats aren't making up as big a proportion of it.
I think it was good on Penn State to get out in front of that. I think that had been the major issue because much of the marketing or discussion around the stadium renovation had been, we need to find ways to increase our revenue through premium seating. Many of the surveys about premium seating, most of the emails you're getting hit with are about premium seating of late. So I think calming that storm, certainly like that felt good to me. And I thought that was a good takeaway. I don't, I, it's surprising how like little of an opinion I actually have on the actual visual look of it. I think
I am kind of surprised.
Like I don't know. It just kind of looks like an extenuation of what the south end zone looks like. I think they actually did a nice job of if that's what it's going to look like, which I think is what it's going to look like, blending it in and kind of making it look cohesive or much more cohesive on that side. I did think the other interesting thing was that they're moving the sidelines 100 or fans are going to be 100 feet closer to the sideline, which I thought was interesting because I'm like, I don't know that there's 100 feet on that sideline. I don't understand how that's gonna.
Yeah,
work.
I know there's 100 feet to have.
Yeah,
but
well, I'm sure some engineers figured it out, and
I'm sure they did. They got the little aerial tape measure.
Yeah, you know.
Yeah.
Other rendering or other interesting things. So the press release was pretty good. John Sauber's article in the CDT is probably must read if you're really looking for extra information. That's where the 100 feet closer, 25% more room per seat. So I guess like probably 20 inches per seat as opposed to 18 inches.
That adds up to this much, right?
It's not much.
No, 25%.
That would make a little bit of a difference for how crammed I've been for some games. I did think the other thing that was interesting in that article, 130 million in gifts is the goal to get to on that. Oh, excuse me. Sorry. So I thought that was interesting. And then the press box is moving to the other side. Steve, I need you to vamp here for a second. I'm choking.
Well, I think the press box to the other side will be, it was funny. Like everything was about filling the press box and what it is and that side. And so who gets displaced or what do they move or what do they retrofit over there to make that work? So that'll be a fun little part. Like, that'll be the part that the press cares about, right? That'll be the story that
right.
And the people don't care about. But no, I think top to bottom, the renderings look, I mean, there wasn't going to be anything out of the ordinary. There wasn't going to be anything crazy. It looks good, right? And I think the challenge will be, do they get to their privately funded number that they want to get to? I know they didn't have a plan for raising the money, but I guess I'm not really concerned about them getting there, right? I think people will spend money and they'll figure it out. And if not, they'll extend a loan and do something a little further to get it done. And it'll pay for it. Like God, I mean, worst case, they get to the point where they need to extend it and they have their concert and they use some of that money to whatever. Like
cover it.
You know, I think they're going to get that. I don't really have any doubt they're going to get there. And it's not like they're going to stop playing or somebody's going to come say, you can't play a game because you didn't pay off the stadium.
Yeah.
They'll figure it out.
Yeah, I think they're about halfway there. He said they were at 70 million. I'm interested, like, I don't, as an average fan, I don't think those gifts or to give those gifts, like that would not be a donation that I would want to give per se. Like I would want to do things that impact on the field or scholarship type, like Nittany Lion
But they're
Club.
putting their names on the towers. They're putting their names on the gathering areas and whatever else.
Right.
So that's sexy to a lot of people.
But like,
no, you want to defend.
There's only a certain number of those types of people. I'm saying like average fans, like who's giving to that aspect of it. So I'm interested to see if they finagle numbers there. So yeah, go read John's article. And then we would like your opinion on what I've now named the newest Stuff Summer Says with Steve character, Pete. What he is looking at and admiring in the one rendering, because I can't figure it out. But that was the most interesting part of the that.
Fair point.
So. Okay. Anything else stadium wise? Like,
Are you excited?
You know what I'm excited about? I'm actually excited about like next year of what the makeshift stadium looks like and what that will feel like. More so than anything else. I think that's going to be neat because like we're not going to really ever get to experience something like that again, or it's been a while since we've got to experience something like that. Because when they did the what would be the south end zone, there weren't temporary seating there. They were adding new seating, and they didn't do that with the north end zone when they added the north end zone, right?
Right. Yeah.
So I think that's more exciting to me. I'm not as. It's not that I'm not excited. It's just I'm not as excited as I thought I would be. For
yeah, it's 2 seasons away, right? Well, 3 seasons. It started of the 3rd season away. But like I said, it's not off the wall. It doesn't look crazy. Not that you expected it to, but I think those are good things as well.
The thing that I'm probably most excited about, that I know you're going to roll your eyes at, it seems like they're going to put the lights in that can do the like fun animation things when like Alabama. I
saw those.
I know you're super excited.
I saw those. I told you they were coming.
I want them. I've long.
People are going to love that. People love fireworks and they love those light shows. Minor league baseball teams have made a killing on fireworks shows through the years, and the Pirates, that's all they got going for them for attendance. So, yeah, people are going to love the little lights. And too bad it's not going to be next season when they're going to be lighting up the scoreboard, you know.
Wonder where they're going to I wonder where they're going to put the weather vane.
Maybe they'll put it back where it was. It just didn't.
Oh, it's on the south. It's not on the west side. It's on the
right,
south.
Right. It's on the south. Okay. It just might not be as visible there, but it doesn't need to be. That'll be interesting, right? Like how that fits in. But I think it probably just came down to so it doesn't nothing happen during construction.
Is the weather vane the most iconic feature of Beaver Stadium? No. What's the most iconic feature of Beaver Stadium?
They're taking it away. It's the erector set.
Well, you got the east side will still be a erector set ish.
The view, I mean, right? You could say it's the view in Mount Nittany, but you can't see Mount Nittany anymore. Once they closed the south end zone in, that was over, right?
People are still
knocked the Victory Bell, which is down there. You know, you can't see that. God forbid it. God forbid it's the cheerleader that says, "Are you ready?" But you know,
no, but there's not
a visual. No, there's not a structure. There's not. Right? Are we being too?
Like it's the crowds.
Right.
It's the.
I mean, I don't know. So what's the visual thing of touchdown Jesus at Notre Dame?
Mm-hmm.
What about Texas?
The fact that the one part of their stadium looks like a giant longhorn.
Okay. Alabama?
That's a boring stadium too. I don't. That looks like a boring stadium too.
Ohio State's the horseshoe, even though it's not.
Yeah. That's like the big house is just very large.
Right. I mean, I guess there's not a lot, right? Like unless you like Colorado, right? Has the Colorado in the end zone and the mountains in the background. Lane Stadium at Virginia Tech's okay. It's gotten more closed in through the years, and you don't see as much on the outside. So I don't know that I think of stadiums as having a.
I'm thinking like baseball stadiums always have like
right.
Like that thing. Like Wrigley's got the ivy, and
I mean Iowa's got a hospital looming over the side of the stadium now, but that's not part of the stadium realistically. But that's the thing.
Well, and the other thing with Iowa is like there's 3 inches for the sideline, and that's about it.
I think that's what's going to happen here.
I'm
to get your 100 feet back.
I think that I'm interested to see. I am surprised it didn't come up, but a lot of people are speculating that the stadium will be louder. I'm interested to see if like that was any of a factor in terms of doing that. It didn't say that in the press release. It didn't really say that in the articles. That felt like an easy little layup of a PR win to get.
Yeah, we're just going to say that. Yeah, like I would have thought so too. Hey, we did this. We engineered to keep the sound in and continue to maintain our whatever.
Yeah. So I'm interested to see. It would be fun to see for the people that sit on the the east sideline if like next year it seems louder, or that first year it seems louder just because it's a little bit taller, a little bit more of a wall, things like that. Okay. Cool. Let's shift gears and talk some Penn State hockey. They have turned the season around. Like I said that to you, and they just keep going. They keep going. Aiden Fink is the real deal. Reese Lombach is the real deal. It's a shame that our Arseny Sergeyev got hurt when he did, because I think they're comfortably into the tournament if they don't get hurt, if he doesn't get hurt.
Yes. Like if they don't lose those games, it's over and that's decided. Now they're still playing to get in, and every like I am. I mean, I guess it's no secret I'm an unabashed fan of Guy, and I got to tell you, 0-8, 0-9 in conference play, I was
We're
just a little worried.
We would you
You
were
know,
worried.
I'm like, they're playing really well. It's exciting hockey. It's good hockey. They found whatever it is. I mean, I guess we'll find out this weekend, right? They get the number one team in the country, go to Michigan State. But what a run! Like they two back-to-back sweeps. It's the first time in program history. So, and people are showing up. Like, I don't know how they're still squeezing more people in because every Saturday is a bigger crowd apparently. So I think that's great though. So it's fun. Like, it's exciting to see.
Probably maybe not the most fun run, but maybe the second or third most fun run for Penn State hockey. I think the Big Ten tournament championship year, that one was a lot of fun to watch. And then I think honestly the last time they made the NCAA tournament where they lost to Michigan in overtime, that was a fun run. That was a fun team in season to enjoy. Can I throw out a mildly spicy hot take?
All right, here we go.
Is Penn State hockey catching up to Penn State basketball, both men and women, in terms of popularity? In terms of
it's got to be more popular. It's more popular than women for sure. It's been right, just crowd wise.
Yeah,
maybe not media attention wise, but even so, more people are covering. Yes, it's already past women's.
Okay.
I don't know about men's. I don't know. But I mean, people are showing up. And so, I mean, for me, yes, I am not interested in the men's program because they're just not very good and haven't. I don't know. I don't connect. And again, I'm biased a little bit.
Well,
a lot of it.
Can they, the thing that is holding the hockey program back in terms of that aspect, it still feels like a little bit of a novelty, if you will, to have hockey. Like it, and I think part of that is because unlike basketball to a degree at the high school level, that's taken pretty seriously around the state. At the youth level, it's taken pretty seriously around the state. It is taken relatively seriously at the youth and high school level in the state hockey wise, but it's much more niche because there's a bigger barrier to entry. But I'm interested to see, like, okay, they go on this run here, and let's say, like, I think they probably need to win one against Michigan State and one against Minnesota to maybe two against Minnesota to really have a good shot. They're 16th in the pairwise right now. But they if they sneak into the tournament, so to speak, I think that's going to generate more buzz. And then they're going to have Aiden Fink most likely coming back, who is now officially, I would comfortable saying, the program's best player ever. And they'll take that, and then they've got this recruiting class that's coming in that everybody and their sister is telling me is supposed to be the one. I think they for the first time in a long time, they have some momentum going into the next season already. It feels like a lot of maybe the early 2000s when they got derailed in part by COVID, like they had some momentum, but I don't know. I feel like they've always just had these little blips of momentum that are last one season that I feel like now they're starting to kind of sustain and roll that out into two seasons.
I think that's fair. I think going back to are they more popular in basketball? I think the students I've talked to, both in class and anecdotally, don't care about basketball because they're struggling and they've leaned into, we're not a basketball school. And I'm like, well, what could get you to go to the game? Well, we'll go to the fun game and then we're done. Like, realistically, and the kids that go to hockey, smaller group, but a loyal group and show up all the time. It's great. It's the best atmosphere. I just had one of my interns I saw this weekend, saw at the Pink Zone game for women's basketball. And she was thrilled. Her dad was in and they went to a hockey game. She said it was the best experience I've had here. And I'm so glad he came to do it with me. Yeah, they're exciting nights. I think it's still a novelty in some ways because, not as many people know hockey. Look at, even the NHL, which is when it's popular and good, is still doesn't get as much attention as whatever else. But no, I think it's surpassed women's basketball. It's going to be ahead of women's basketball for a while. Until somebody comes in and starts winning games. And this end of the season run, these last two regular season series plus whatever playoffs there are, is going to be fun. I mean, Minnesota, you get Liam Sawyer back in net at home as the opposing goalie, in a series that matters as much as any series in the history of the program, right? Like, so, and he's one of the best goalies in the conference right now.
Right.
So, I mean, just how poetic and wonderful is that in terms of story? So there's a lot going on there that makes for interesting stuff.
I think the other big thing, I mean, of Penn State's athletic teams, it is very much football one. I would say men's basketball too, but hockey is the one that I tune into and pay attention to the most. And I have found myself being more dedicated or not dedicated, more rigorous with making sure that more intentful with making sure that I'm tuning in and listening to Brian, and or watching the game. This is my first season having BTN Plus or Big Ten Plus, and I have to say it actually seems to be worth it was free this year, but I think I'll keep it into next season because it seems to be worth the investment.
I think, again, an age thing. I think probably older fans might have wrestling there sooner, right?
Yeah.
At least that small cohort of them. It's not small, but that dedicated cohort of them would probably pay attention more than to hockey. Yeah, I think you're right. They're on a fun run, and good for them. And the next 2 weeks are going to be great. You're playing the number one team in the country. You're the hottest team in the country, playing the number one team in the country, and then the following weekend you're at home against your former starting goalie in a series that matters to figure out if you're making the postseason or not.
And then Penn State women's hockey also kind of having a quietly very good stretch of seasons now, with everything that they've done. Jeff Campersell's done, kind of really turning that program truly around. And I think more so, and this isn't a knock towards Guy or anything like that, but I think more so this was what's happening with Penn State women's hockey. So now 3 straight, we'll call them AHA titles, even though they kind of changed names. 3 straight of those regular season ones, they're gonna host or in the playoffs or in their playoffs here and have a pretty good shot at making the NCAA tournament. After that, I think that's kind of the vision that was laid out, and it's cool to see the vision playing out the way it was laid out, in a lot of ways.
Yeah, I think they're doing great, right? And they're filling a spot that doing what people thought they could do if the program was up and running. So I don't know if we're a hockey school yet, but we're darn close.
That's a good way to put it. I think that was what I was looking for in that conversation. All right. Anything else?
No. So you watch hockey Friday and Saturday night this week?
We'll watch Friday, TBD on Saturday. We have a birthday party to go to, so we'll see. But yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. All right. This week's Old Guy, Young Guy brought to you by Steve and is also brought to you by Vacation, Steve.
Right. Because it turns out that Steve has, and he knew this before they went to the vacation, that he has perhaps too juvenile of a bathing suit to be in public with like adults, right? Like it's nice, like the one I had was like long green with like pelicans on them, right?
Talk about that.
Apparently male adults don't use many patterned
what?
Swimming suits, apparently, I was told. And that was as an example. Maybe it was a more European and Canadian group. I don't know, whatever. But it's getting a little out of fit, a little loose. I'm like, okay, I need a new suit. And Susan's like, yeah, you do. And you need one of those ones, she said, I forget the discussion. But the discussion was, no, you get a swimming suit and then you wear board shorts underneath it. I'm like, well, that's just, or like compression short. I'm like, well, that's just stupid. It has a little net thing in the suit. Yeah. That's what it's for. Like, that's its job. Like, you don't wear both. And she's like, but all the guys wear something underneath their suits. I'm like, because they're wearing shorts. Like the people you're seeing have shorts, and then they're wearing like compression shorts underneath it. So there was this discussion, and I told her she was wrong. And I said, I'll ask Darian, but I think I would get a suit and it has like a little net in it and that's it. Like that's the suit. Or you do the compression shorts and some kind of water wicking shorts above it type deal.
Yeah, the second option there, usually. Right. Most of the time. Pretty much all the time. But let's go back to the patterns thing. It's green with little pink pelicans. It looks cute. It's fine.
there were a lot of like, there were 90% of the guys like plain dark color, plain regular color, no fun patterns, no whatever. I was kind of surprised.
I am Team Steve here. Okay.
Okay.
So 3 years ago, I went to a bachelor party and our first stop was San Diego, and the first day we were going to go to the beach. Well, they lost my luggage. And so I didn't have anything, literally nothing to swim in. So we went and I expensed it basically because they owed me because they screwed up my luggage. And I got like a $70, like, I think it's either Rip Curl or one of the like big surfing brands from like a true surf shop in California. And they got little like hula dancers on it. And then,
okay, but so those real board shorts, they're board shorts, and then you're wearing like compression shorts underneath them, or like okay.
Those ones. But then I went to then I think another one we went to the same one right before I went to Kohl's and got like they're like pink with like a Miami Vice like kind of theme to them.
Right.
I think
maybe I'll shop tonight. I'm in for the colors. I'm in for the colors and patterns, but I want to then I don't need, like in my world, the old school swimming suit that has the net in it. Then I'm like, I got these great little, Nike fit compression shorts that would be underneath them in my world. So, okay.
Don't listen to the haters, Steve. Okay.
Okay.
That's what I'm going to say to you. All right. That's about it. Yeah, that was this week's podcast. It was pretty. Hopefully, we covered every topic.
We covered almost every season there was.
Yeah.
We had fall, we had winter, and we had summer. So yeah.
And spring is March. Something. March is where we're talking about
we had basketball.
Basketball, and
there's going to be no basketball at Penn State, so it'll be a quiet March Madness.
Or the March if Penn State hockey makes the Penn State men's.
You know who'll appreciate that would be the fine people in Penn State athletics. They don't have to chase basketball teams to the Big Ten tournament. They can just worry about hockey if it makes a run.
Wow, he said that. That was. Oof.
Well, I'm just saying it's one less place for them to go.
That's fair. That's a good point. All right, that was this week's podcast. I'm not sure what's coming on the blog. I might write about basketball tonight. I might not. We'll see. We'll see where my brain power is. I will probably do. I do have an article started about just a rundown of here's everything we know about the renovation. We'll get that out. Yeah, we'll see what happens with hockey. We'll see what happens with some of the other sports. This is like I enjoy this time of year because at least there's like a lot of there's so much else going on right now. And it's kind of fun to not have to talk about football. Not that I don't enjoy talking about football. But it's kind of fun to talk about those other topics as well. Okay, cool. So the website is called stuffsummersays.com. On that website, there's a section called With Steve. 5 stars, thumbs up, all of that. We've got emails. Mine's Darian at stuffsummersays.com. Steve says?
Steve at stuffsummersays.com.
Perfect. Lastly, you can find me on the internet at Stuff Summer Says. Where can you find Steve?
At Steve Samsel.
See ya. Bye.